What is going on, Pats Nation? You guys already know who it is. Patriots Global here, back with another video. And in this one, we're going to talk about how the New England Patriots absolutely need to find a way to sign free agent cornerback, recently made free agent cornerback James Bradberry. We are about 17 seconds into this video, and I can already hear the comments flowing in, which is why I want to get this out of the way early so I know who actually watched the video before commenting. I already know what everyone's going to say, all right? They're going to say, Patriots Global, with what money? With what money are we going to make any additions when we still have to go out and sign this 2022 draft class? And the honest answer to that is you make the money. If you want to make a move, you make the money. It's as simple as that. To the Patriots fans, to any NFL fans, any sports fans in general that are thinking, oh, we have X amount of money, we can only make X amount of moves. No, you can make the money. Multiple teams have showed that, most notably the Los Angeles Rams, who have shown us that cap is absolutely crap. We talked earlier this offseason about several ways the New England Patriots can clear up cap space, and they've done pretty much none of those, meaning that there is still so many ways the Patriots could clear up cap space if they really wanted to. The Patriots are currently in a place where you got to admit outside cornerback, a perimeter cornerback, is at the top of this team's need. It's not any position really on the offensive line. It's not linebacker. It's not wide receiver. It is an outside cornerback. The Patriots lost J.C. Jackson this offseason, who was their starting corner last season. And right before that, the Patriots decided to get rid of Stephon Gilmore. For as long as I can remember, this Patriots defense has had one true cornerback, a guy that you can point to on the depth chart and say, this is New England's number one corner. He can go up against the best receiver on each team, and we can comfortably say that. Whether it went from Darrelle Revis to Malcolm Butler, or Malcolm Butler to Stephon Gilmore, or Stephon Gilmore to J.C. Jackson, the Patriots have always, each and every single year, had that number one guy in the building and have already had that next replacement up before that other guy walks out the door. And unfortunately, we are not in that situation anymore. And you can say, well, Patriots Global, we brought back Malcolm Butler this offseason. And while we did, I think we should all agree that Malcolm Butler is not the number one corner, lockdown, man-to-man guy that he once was in that 2014, 15, 16 season. Now, the Giants are deciding to just straight up release Bradberry after they ultimately failed to find a trade partner. He almost went to the Texans, but they couldn't get a long-term deal done, so the Texans kind of dropped out. From what I'm understanding, the Patriots were never in on a potential trade, and I'm sure it comes down to that money. The Giants, by letting him go, are going to free up about $10.1 million in cap savings while having about $11.7 million in dead money. The release of James Bradberry does not come down to the fact that he's a bad player, the fact that he's not wanted. It comes down to the fact that the Giants are in a financial standpoint where they cannot make any moves. They cannot sign this draft class because they just do not have money because of guys that used to be in the front office. They're ultimately just screwing them right now, which ultimately means that they have to get rid of some high-end players, which ultimately in this case is Bradberry. Now, Bradberry will ultimately give the Patriots that number one outside perimeter guy that they just absolutely need next to Jalen Mills. 6'1", 212 pounds, finally a guy that is going to give you that height. This guy is not 5'8". He is not 5'9", and he's not 5'10". We finally would get a guy that is over 6 foot and can go up against these taller receivers. Now, ran a 4.5, not all that fast, but with his height and athletic ability, he's shown that that's really not too much of a problem. Also only 28 years old, still fairly young. Now, this past year, he put up a total of 43 tackles, which was tied for 56 in the NFL, 4 interceptions, which was also tied for 6th. He was targeted 92 times, which was tied for, or wasn't tied for, it ranked 12th, and allowed 60 receptions, which was tied for 6th. Now, he put up an overall grade of 62.8, a run defensive grade of 47.6, a pass rush grade of 60, and a coverage grade of 60.5. A lot of Patriots fans will look at that and say, dear God, why would we bring him along? Understand, he was a part of the New York Giants who, from head to toe, absolutely terrible. Don't have a pass rush. How can you ask these guys to be good coverage cornerbacks? But if you look at the 2020 season, he played a lot better. Put up a total of 48 solo tackles. That was tied for 38th. 3 interceptions, tied for 9th. He was targeted 78 times, tied for 22nd, and allowed 44 receptions, which was tied for 40th. He put up a much better grade of 79.8, a run defensive grade of 71.9, pass rush grade of 50.2, and a coverage grade of 79.9. Now, with Bradberry, you'll also get a guy who's really been able to stay healthy for the majority of his career. He played 16 games, or 17 games this past season, 15 games in 2020, which was his first Pro Bowl year, 15 games in 2019, 16 games in 2018, 16 games in 2017, and 13 in 2016. So you have a reliable guy here on your hands. Now, in total, throughout his 6 seasons as a pro, 4 of which with the Panthers and then 2 with the Giants, he's put together 380 total tackles, 82 passes defended, 15 interceptions, 3 sacks, 4 forced fumbles, and 3 fumble recoveries in 92 games played. Now, what I will say about Bradberry, especially with that 4.5 speed, is that he is more of a zone guy. This isn't going to be your, J.C. Jackson, your Stephon Gilmore, your true shutdown press man corner. That's not exactly his game. I think you put him in and he's going to do better at doing so than any cornerback the Patriots currently have in the building, but he is mainly a zone guy. That's where he's going to thrive. And luckily enough for the Patriots, at least for this 2022 season, that looks like what this defense is heavily going to rely on scheme-wise is playing zone. I think signing with the New England Patriots would be an absolute smart deal for both sides. Now, for the Patriots, you're getting a true cornerback. Your defense relies on a good secondary, relies on a true number 1 corner. With Bradberry, that's what you're going to get. That is your missing piece at this point, and it's the best you're going to get at this point in the offseason. Now, James Bradberry, you kind of pitch him. You say, hey, come in here, sign a 1-year deal. We know how to utilize you. You know our defensive scheme, especially because you worked with Joe Judge for the last 2 years. Sign a lower contract. We're not going to give you the most money that another team's going to offer you, but sign a lower end 1-year contract, perform well as our number 1 corner, go ahead at the end of free agency a year from now, and reset that market. He'd be reuniting with guys like Jabril Peppers. He'd be, again, reuniting with his old head coach in Joe Judge. And a year ago, the Patriots got a very, very good look at him in training camp when they had that joint practice with Joe Judge and the Giants. And Bradberry was just continuously standing out, picking off each and every single one of the New England Patriots quarterbacks that turned the head of Bill Belichick. At this point, it's up to Bradberry's camp where he wants to sign. He can't be traded anymore. He's officially a free agent, meaning that contract that he had with the Giants is completely erased. Anywhere he signs, it's going to be a brand new contract with brand new numbers. If you can pitch him that 1-year deal to come in and sign for a lower price, then boom, you're perfect. And then next year in free agency, when you actually have money, you go out and you sign your true number 1 corner, whether that's Bradberry to an extension or somebody else. Again, New England only has about $700,000 right now in available cap, but there are so many ways, guys, so many ways that this team can still create cap space. If you haven't seen my video on how the Patriots can create cap space, I'll link it in the comment section below for you to check out. So money really isn't an option if the Patriots want to do so, and there's not going to come a better option for them to add to the secondary than James Bradberry at this point into the offseason. You'll get him in here before OTAs. You'll get him in here before minicamp, training camp, preseason. I think everything is pointing upwards for the New England Patriots if they can get this done. I think the other argument Patriots fans will say is, well, not only did you get Malcolm Butler, Terrence Mitchell, and then draft Jack Jones and Marcus Jones in this draft, why would you bring on another guy? Why would you need to create that money for all the depth pieces that you kind of brought along? Well, first off, one of those guys is Malcolm Butler. We've already talked about him enough. I don't know if I trust him being this team's number 1 corner going up against the best corners in the NFL. I like him as a number 2 to number 3 option for the Patriots. As for Jack Jones and Marcus Jones, these guys are rookies. And at that, they're expected to be guys that play in the slot, not outside perimeter guys. Now, real quick, I want to give a shout out to the sponsors of this video, betonline.ag. Our partners over at BetOnline continue to be the #1 source for all your betting needs and sports info. Find all the latest sports developments, including updated odds on the playoffs, fights, and even next season's futures. And don't forget that baseball is back and the start of the Major League Baseball season is finally here. BetOnline is your continued source for all your sports wagering needs, including live betting and your favorite Vegas casino and poker games. It is super easy to get started, so head to the website today and use your mobile device to join us using that promo code CLNS50 to receive a 50% off welcome bonus on your first deposit. BetOnline, where the game starts. But this is why the New England Patriots absolutely need to go out and sign James Bradberry. I mean, with this current depth that they have between safeties and corners, I think they could get it done, but it's definitely not going to be the secondary that we've seen the last several years with the Patriots. I can't say that game in and game out I'm going to be confident. I think that to bolster this team, to bolster this defense after the other slight additions we've made, was to add to the secondary. What are your guys' thoughts, though? Let me know in the comments section below. Remember to leave a big like on this video and subscribe to the channel for all of your New England Patriots news. But like always, I appreciate each and every single one of you for watching. Like always, go Pats.